I'm going to introduce you today to our business monitoring tool called Opsis. We call it business monitoring tool for a very specific reason. We don't monitor systems, so we don't check that your MQ is running or that queues aren't full and those sort of things. Those are different monitoring. They're system monitoring tools. What we do, we collect all the little breadcrumbs that a process leaves as it goes over your systems. And we pick those up, and we therefore able to recognize how the actual process, how that transaction is flowing through that process. So in this case, we're monitoring 3 separate processes. They can be any process. Opsis doesn't mind. We can configure it for absolutely any process in your business. In this particular case, we're looking at a purchase order, sales order, and SO dispatch process. And we'll look at those in a little more detail. So I'm going to drill down into one of those transactions that's flowing through your process. In this case, it's the sales order process. This is what I was referring to when I was talking about how we keep it at the business level first. We're monitoring your business processes. So these waypoints or stages, as we call them, they're all things that your customer should understand, your customer relationship manager should understand, right? So order received, created, released, shipped. These are business terms. This is not about monitoring whether a queue is up and running. Okay, this is very different. So in this particular case, we can see that the transaction, so the order number, which is 8810133, has gone through. And we can see that these little symbols here, these notify us that there is an actual ability to look at the message as it stood at that time, as it flowed through this particular system. So as you can see, we understand that as you flow, as your transaction flows across your systems, that document might change. It might get changed by an ESB like an ACE or a MuleSoft. So the actual contents of the document might change. Opsis gives the ability to see that document at the various stages within your system. Now, in terms of security, we do not take any data that you don't want us to take out of your systems. We do not store your data off-site. It's all on-premise. So in this particular case, we had a very complex message, which was a lot more complex than what's been shown here. But again, because Opsis is fully configurable, we've said in this particular case, only show me the product ID, the description, and the quantity. That's all I want to see of this message. You as the customer have the ability to completely define what we look at in the message and what we display. So in this particular case, again, in the XML, this was not called product ID. This was called prod id. And we've allowed you to configure it that says, okay, when you show the prod id on the screen, give it a nice user-friendly name and call it product ID. Again, with description in the XML, this is actually DESC, so desk. And you've configured it to say, whenever you see the word desk, please user-friendly name when I'm displaying on the screen and show me the word description. Now, I said that we don't monitor systems, but obviously we are getting events out of your systems in order to understand where the transaction was and what data was actually available at that point. So this view, again, I've said that we keep the business user first. So these are business user entities here, whether something's been shipped, received, created, etc. However, it's very often very useful for the more technical user to understand actually what's been going on with that transaction. So using this little widget here, the waypoint marker as we call it, if you just click on that, we all of a sudden get more information. We can see that that event actually came out of your B2Bi, that was out of Sage, etc., etc. So something happened in B2Bi, which Opsis said, okay, based on that event, I believe this order has been received. And that's completely configurable by you. You decide what event means that you decide when it's been received. Again, with all of these, it's up to you to decide what event you want to qualify as saying, okay, I've now shipped that particular product or that line item out based on this particular event inside Sage. Now, the interesting thing here on top of that is that you can see we've got IBM ACE here. So if I just close that up again, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waypoints. When I open it up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The difference is ACE. So these events that we received, it told us something about a state change that had happened. So that event said this order received, that event said this order created. That event that we got from ACE didn't change anything in terms of the business state. So it didn't make it order created because it went through ACE. The order wasn't released because it went through Sage. So ACE is essentially a waypoint that happened, the data flowed through it. But it's often in those places where your transaction can get held up or corrupted, or perhaps even lost. So what Opsis allows you to do is deep dive into those locations as well and tell you what went on at that particular point in time. Again, allowing you to see the document, allowing you to see how it was before it went into ACE, allowing you to see how it came out of ACE. Maybe it never came out of ACE, maybe it got lost in there. Opsis allows you to see that at a blink of an eye. As is the way of the world, we generally don't care when things are working very well. That's taken as read that they should work well. However, inevitably things do go wrong, and again, Opsis can help you in this regard. So let's just look briefly. I'm going to quickly select any errors that we've got, and I've got one here. Very quickly, you can see how we've highlighted it very clearly, that it's red. We can even see, even on this page, where it's actually had a problem, and it's had a problem in the order received. So let's drill down into that a little bit further. On the details page for that individual transaction, I can see again that it's in the order received that the problem has been. Quickly rolling over it, I can see that it's got an internal B2Bi error. They have a thing called a mailbox. In this case, it says mailbox message not found error. So Opsis is going to help us here. So we can see the actual event that caused this, and we can see more detail about the actual error we received from B2Bi with that transaction. Not only that, we've introduced some AI, and we've introduced IBM Watson in this case, and we've actually looked into our knowledge base of problems that we understand about B2Bi, and we've searched through and we've decided that we understand there might be possible solutions for this. So we've given you 3 possible solutions in this case, and we're highly confident about that solution there. So we can open that up and we can see the possible solution to our problem that comes from our knowledge base. It's not unusual for a business process to have some kind of SLA on it. It might be that the whole transaction has to complete within a certain period of time, or there might be a delivery date within the individual transaction that has to be achieved. And in the same vein as Opsis helps you understand what errors are within your system on individual transactions, Opsis also allows you to understand whether SLA breaches have been found. So Opsis allows you to define for any given process where the SLAs are across. So for instance, across order received to released, there might be a time schedule, or as I said before, within a document, let's say there's a delivery date, and you can see whether you're going to break that delivery date or not. So if we drill down into that a little further, we can see in this particular case, we've had a breach. So if we look at all the SLAs, there's one SLA on this particular business process, and it's between order created and released. If we open that up a little bit, we can see the SLA is 2 hours. So what we're saying here is that the business process designer has decided that whenever an order is created, it must be released within 2 hours. So in this particular case, there's been a breach, and it's actually taken 2 hours 45 minutes for that order to be created and released, and Opsis has notified you of that SLA breach. A picture speaks 1,000 words, and so within Opsis we have some charting software within our dashboard section, which I will just show you briefly here. You don't have to use our inbuilt dashboard or our inbuilt charts. You are more than welcome to use our APIs and extract the data yourself and put it into the charting software of your choice. I've zoomed us in onto the SLA chart here. Now with an SLA, Opsis gives you the ability to say, I don't expect a 100% SLA, right? I don't expect it to be reached all of the time. So in this particular case, what we've said is for the purchase order process, I expect it to be achieved about 90% of the time. Anything less than that, I've got a problem with, but if anything between 90 and 100%, I'm happy with. So here we can see that we've said that. We said it has to be achieved 90% of the time, the SLA that we've set, but actually it's only been set at about, we've only achieved about 60%. So that means we have a problem with our purchase order process, and we need to go look at that, where the SLA breaches are happening, and then we can identify why they're happening. So I've just zoomed in on one of my favorite charts. It's the heartbeat chart, as we call it. So this is giving you a view on what transactions have happened in the recent past. In this particular case, the last week or so. So again, we always keep at the forefront what the process looks like. So not a technical view, so talking about the process and what states its transaction can go through. And here we have a heartbeat chart to say how many transactions have gone through in a particular period of time. Now, that is really useful because we're all aware of those cases where we have a particular customer who might put in an awful lot of transactions on a Sunday night. And you come in on the Monday morning and you don't think about it because you've got no visibility, but those transactions didn't happen on a Sunday night. So this is giving you that view that says when you come in on the Monday morning, you can see really quickly, really easily that those transactions from that particular really highly valuable customer didn't happen. So that suggests either something's changed on the customer side or something is broken on your side, and you need to go and look at it and see what the issue is. So we find it's extremely valuable. Now, obviously, as well as just visualizing it and having a look at it and eyeballing it to see that on the Monday morning, if you will, we also have done some trend analysis on that. So if we see trends that are broken, then we will also notify you of those as well automatically.